Sagicor Bank is
7 o'clock. CVM News at 7 headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
In CVM News at 7, locals brace for potential remittance taxes amidst poverty statistics. Mother becomes victim of alleged police misconduct. And Prime Minister demands legislative changes to counter abuse of women and children. Query this: school negligence, fighting for justice when children get hurt. In the business report, Tropical Battery launches APO. While in sports, Mount Pleasant aim to reclaim the crown in JPL Super Final.
CVM News at 7 headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Hey everybody, I'm Yendi, and this is Odyssey with Yendi. In this space, we connect with some of your favorite people as they share their journeys. Here we have some unfiltered conversations as we deep dive into their inspirations, motivations, and experiences to inspire our own life journey.
Brought to you by Grace. Make a good move today.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Thursday, May 22, 2025. I'm Nika Lewis. Thank you so much for joining us. Information and Youth Minister Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon says the Prime Minister has issued a mandate to his cabinet for swift legislative changes and actions to be brought to end the scourge of violence against women and children. The edict follows recent incidents that left several women and children injured or dead. The minister says our girls are under siege.
Under siege, that's the conclusion drawn by the Education, Youth and Information Minister after the recent vicious attacks on women and girls across the country. Dr. Dana Morris Dixon says this week's cabinet meeting saw them receiving updates on the latest incidents involving women and children that drew the ire of the nation. Crimes, she says, the Prime Minister is insisting must not go unpunished.
The Prime Minister was very, very strong on Monday in directing the entire cabinet to do everything possible to change the legislative framework to make sure that these crimes do not go unpunished. It is very, very important, and all the ministers that were in cabinet, we received our marching orders from the Prime Minister because this is something that we cannot allow to continue. We heard Minister Grange in Parliament this week, and she gave a very powerful and timely reminder that everybody has a role to play in eliminating violence against women.
The minister cited several of the popular matters of late, noting there are other grim realities that girls face daily, even in their homes.
We had Kelsey Farragon, we had Anissa Dilworth, we had a female teacher who was attacked at school. We have the nurse that was attacked on her way to work. And these are not isolated incidents. And as Minister of Education, one of the things that I have found in my conversations with guidance counselors is them talking about our young girls in our high schools, talking about sexual violence against them in the home. This is not something that is just happening here and there. This is something that's happening across our country. It is a problem. Our girls are under siege.
And despite commending the authorities on their 40% reduction in murders and continued gains in crime fighting, she adds sexual crimes are often swept under the rug, a practice which she maintains must end.
Every office hours, our girls who are at UE studying, trying to make something of their lives, they'll come and they'll sit in your office and they will cry about what happened to them in their communities. It is happening way, way, way too much. And we don't like to talk about it. But it is real. And we have to talk about it if we're going to truly address the problems. And so the Prime Minister has told us that we can't stand by and have this happen and just let it be, we're just going to have some excitement about violence against women for a couple of weeks. We have to do what we can as cabinet ministers to take strong steps and to change the laws to make it clear that this kind of action is not acceptable.
The minister was addressing Thursday's post-cabinet media briefing in Kingston.
Cries of outrage echoed through the streets of St. Andrew today as women and allies rallied in black, demanding meaningful change. The protest comes amid renewed national concern following a recent wave of violence against women. Our reporter Chantae McNeil was on location and files this report.
Protect our women, no more abuse. That's what demonstrators here at the intersection of Old Hope Road and Oxford Road are protesting as they take a stronger stance against gender-based violence. Now they say enough is enough and the time for action is now.
Dressed in black, the protesters, mostly women, stood in solidarity, a partnership between Women's Media Watch, WMW, and the Institute of Gender and Development Studies at the University of the West Indies, IGDS. Leader of the pack, Ruth Howard, programs manager at WMW, says as a mother and daughter, silence is not an option. She's calling for unity in tackling this national emergency.
So the call is for every citizen to stand with us. And that means when you see something, you say something. That means when you know of a case, you report it. That means you yourself don't become an abuser and don't perpetrate the violence. We have to work together to end it.
But solidarity alone isn't enough. Dr. Opal Palmer Adissa, former director at the IGDS, who has spent more than 25 years addressing gender-based violence, says the government must step up with stronger public education efforts.
The government needs to take a better stance, quite frankly. There need to be billboards in every parish all over saying an end to abuse. There need to be radio programs and sit-ins.
There was also a strong call for more men to break their silence. Executive Director of E4Life, Joy Crawford, says their limited support is a serious concern.
We shouldn't have a crowd out here that's primarily women. We shouldn't have protests going on around our country that's primarily women. We want our men to realize that men are being painted in a way that they don't have an opportunity to say that is not what real men do.
Religious leaders are also being called on to provide greater support.
Within the Anglican Church, we know our Mothers Union is doing sensitization, doing public education. The Baptist Church are doing a lot, the Adventists. We need many more to come on board. Put it in your sermons, put it in your Bible studies, put it in your spiritual things, put it in your prayer meetings. Get out there.
Chantae McNeil, CVM News.
Now to a CVM News follow-up. The mother of three who was allegedly a victim of police harassment says she was recently confronted by two police officers who verbally reprimanded her for bringing the story to the media. We hear more in this report.
CVM News recently learned from a St. Catherine resident of an alleged attempted home break-in by a team of police officers. She was allegedly forced out of her home at 4:30 in the morning by the police based on an alleged report of gun possession. According to Kristen Bryant, also known as Chrissy One Boss, two of the police officers have since visited her home, telling her that she did not have to highlight the matter in the media. She, however, felt it was imperative that she tells her story due to the sheer amount of distress allegedly caused to her family.
These type of behaviors is unacceptable. You come to a house where a mother of three small children is living and this was your behavior. I am very very disappointed. I am hurt. I'm unable to sleep.
Bryant has also filed a report to the Inspectorate and Professional Standards Oversight Bureau, IPROB. She says she made her complaint in her quest for justice. She took her appeal even further to the Office of the Prime Minister, urging the leaders to ensure that the police are operating according to professional standards.
And I'm pleading to the public, I'm pleading to the Prime Minister, I'm pleading to whosoever in charge of these police officers, please, I need some form of justice.
Efforts to contact the JCF's communications arm for a comment on the matter yielded none up to news time. However, the issue is reportedly under investigation. Angela Melville, CVM News.
CVM News at 7 continues in a moment.
Customers as numbers, we see our customers as people, neighbors, friends who deserve more than one-sided connections. That's why we're redefining what real connection is, prioritizing our customers and showing our appreciation by putting our money where your loyalty is. Flow customers, get your $20,000 supermarket card when you add postpaid mobile for only $3,700 plus GCT to your current internet plan. That's loyalty that flows both ways.
What makes a burrito bond so attractive?
You're investing in a bond issued by a company that stands out for its financial strength.
We have a history of strong financial performance and growth, demonstrating resilience.
Our leverage remains low relative to our peers, demonstrating financial stability.
We received a strong A+ rating from CARICRIS, a testament to our creditworthiness.
And we're backed by a knowledgeable and experienced management team committed to driving success.
The bond is available in both Jamaican and US dollars, ranging from tenures between 2 to 10 years at attractive interest rates. Plus, it's expected to be listed, which will enhance liquidity for all investors.
Burrito bonds are burrito strong. Download our prospectus, call a burrito advisor, and invest today.
Welcome back. Jamaicans are to look forward to greater poverty rate declines after a survey shows major declines. However, development economist weighs in to say there is much more to consider before we can celebrate. Adrian Williams tells us more.
Poverty in Jamaica has fallen by a whopping 50%, so says a 2023 Jamaica Survey of Living Conditions (JSLC) conducted by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica (Statin). It revealed that Jamaica's poverty prevalence is now at 8.2%, down from 16.7% in 2021. Amidst this data reported by the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, development economist Dr. Christian Stokes highlights one key activity to watch out for.
And the Director General mentioned remittances, half of the households receiving remittances, and that being a part of the explanation for reduction in the levels of poverty. And this is at a time, I think 60-something% of our remittances come from the US. And as of last night, in the tax bill that the US passed, there was a 5% tax on remittances coming out of the US for non-citizens. I think it's something we need to be aware of, and it's a risk, and we need to monitor it and see how that may may impact us because, remittances in total is 18% of GDP. It's not a small matter for us.
With Jamaicans being prompted by the statistics to find an ease in the cost of living, Dr. Stokes believes economic growth still remains an issue.
Growth remains a problem. Sorry, I've got a little cough thing here. Growth remains a problem. And I think that there's a limit to how we can reduce poverty through government intervention, minimum wage, social intervention programs. And I think the real way to not only reduce poverty, but increase living standards is through economic growth. And that, to me, remains the big challenge.
Another development economist, Sandre Roden, is in support of Dr. Stokes, adding that it is now time for growth to be induced in industries.
Dr. Stokes said it, and I reiterate, it will only go down to a level, and then there will be no movement after that because the government can influence with policy and with reductions so far, but then there has to be a stop, and then the economic growth will now pick up, and that will further reduce poverty in our country.
Adrian Williams for CVM News.
With an above-average predicted Atlantic hurricane season, the government of Jamaica has pumped more money into the island's mitigation budget. Information Minister Dr. Morris Dixon says while Jamaicans are likely to pray, it must be complemented with other preparatory measures to safeguard life and property.
A lot of work has been going into preparing the country for the hurricane season. And the forecasts do predict an active hurricane season. And in light of this, we really have to be prepared. And so what the government has done and our wonderful Minister of Finance has facilitated is an increase in the mitigation budget from $102 million last year to $172 million this year. And some very vulnerable constituencies will actually see their allocations double based on risk assessments.
Meantime, Dr. Morris Dixon says there are other special works being undertaken and several crucial projects across the country. Millions more would have been pumped into these initiatives.
$300 million has been allocated for cleaning the Sandy Gully and any kind of restoration work that needs to be done. $100 million for the north and south gullies in Montego Bay. $30 million has also been allocated for Bogwalk Gorge and also another $30 million for Dyke Road in St. Catherine. $200 million has also been allocated for flood-prone areas along the south coast. So we have contractors being engaged currently, and we're pre-positioning equipment and communication systems to better be able to respond in the event of a hurricane.
Might legal action be looming as the allegations of overpricing for the purchase of a Medtronic neurosurgical drill for the Bustamante Hospital for Children shows no sign of abating despite threats of legal action against opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Alfred Dawes, who made the claims during a recent media briefing on May 20, outlining an array of concerns. Calls for an apology from a trustee of the Medical Technologies Limited, the purchasing entity, up until news time, did not appear to be forthcoming from the PNP spokesman on health. However, a release issued by the company a day after the public accusations maintains that the allegations are, quote, simply untrue. Efforts to contact the aggrieved parties in the ongoing saga proved unsuccessful up to news time. However, CVM's newsroom will continue to track developments on this matter. While the world becomes increasingly connected through technology and social media, many are silently slipping through the cracks. A growing mental health crisis is being masked by cheerful posts and perfect smiles. It's a conversation many avoid, but one that's becoming impossible to ignore. We hear more in this report.
Mental health concerns are on the rise both locally and internationally, quietly affecting millions, many of whom look perfectly fine on the outside. From motivational speeches to picture-perfect posts, individuals often project confidence and joy, but behind the filters and applause, many are battling anxiety, burnout, and depression.
Public figures in Jamaica, like anywhere else, can manage the onset of mental health challenges by prioritizing self-care, engaging in stress-reduced activities like meditation, yoga, or spending time in nature becomes one of the pathways in which public figures can manage the onset of mental health challenges.
He also says mental health issues are different in men and women.
Women are more likely to experience depression, anxiety disorder, and eating disorders just opposed men. Men, on the other hand, are more prone to substance abuse, antisocial behaviors, and in some cases experience higher rate of suicide.
While mental illness can be influenced by genetic factors, societal conditions can play a significant role in triggering symptoms. The licensed psychologist warns individuals to move beyond silence and seek help.
Fostering open conversation about mental health in everyday life can encourage those who might otherwise feel shame or fear to seek support, ultimately creating a society that views therapy as a sign of strength rather than weakness.
He has one plea.
Do not allow societal presuppositions, perceptions, interpretations, evaluations, reflections to stop you from seeking help. Mental health is your responsibility. Your wellness, your well-being is your responsibility. Seek help now.
If you or anyone you know is struggling with mental health, you can contact the Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Line at 888-639-5433. Chantae McNeil, CVM News.
There's lots more to come in CVM News at 7, so stay with us after the break.
See customers as numbers. We see our customers as people, neighbors, friends who deserve more than one-sided connections. That's why we're redefining what real connection is, prioritizing our customers and showing our appreciation by putting our money where your loyalty is. Flow customers, get your $20,000 supermarket card when you add postpaid mobile for only $3,700 plus GCT to your current internet plan. That's loyalty that flows both ways.
The craving that makes everything crunch. The crispy barbecue zinger is back with barbecue sauce, cheddar cheese, bacon, and crispy onions. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
At Yours Truly Clinic Health, we provide care that feels like home. Our nurse caregivers offer professional and compassionate support, so your loved ones are always in safe hands. Our nurse nannies help children learn and grow with confidence, because care isn't just about health, it's about happiness too. For convenient nursing care, call or WhatsApp 876-509-5019 or visit our website at yourstrulyclinihealth.com. Trusted care delivered with ease, supporting families and bringing quality nursing to your doorstep.
Thanks so much for staying with us. Well, too many parents know the fear A call from school, your child is injured. But when that injury stems from negligence, what legal steps can you take? In this week's Query This, Chantae McNeil explores how parents can pursue justice when schools fail their duty of care.
Query This. Your child attends a public school. On multiple visits, you spot a gaping crack in the floor, a hazard hiding in plain sight. You raise it with the principal, who promises action. Weeks later, the crack remains. Then one day, during play, your child's leg slips in and snaps, a fracture. Now, you're left footing a medical bill for a danger you flagged long ago. Would you stand these charges alone? What would you do if this was your child? What responsibility should the school bear? Here's what some of you had to say.
The school must take responsibility, of course. Because remember, we have to pay fees there and insurance, so there's a part to play. It's even for half and half, they must compensate them back same way.
Yes. Because remember, at the school it happened and they should more protect the children more. In the case of a school should make sure that the place has been properly maintained to avoid such incidents from happening.
For accident, the parents can. Because if my child, I go to school and the child accidentally drop, I don't say like say somebody push him down. But if the school have the place mash up and my child drop, at the school have to do it. Because of them have the so mash up and at the school have to do it.
When public institutions fail, what justice is there? Attorney at law Michaelia Green says such cases must go through the Attorney General's office. But first, proof of negligence is key, especially if trying to seek recourse.
It's important to establish negligence. There are 3 prongs to this. And number 1, you have to establish that the entity, in this case the school, had a duty of care to that child. 2, this duty was breached. And 3, this breach caused harm. Now, an attorney at law will go through these steps with you to see whether or not the test for negligence has been met. And this could apply to a hospital, school, any situation where one has been injured in the care of another.
Once an attorney confirms the test for negligence is met, and injuries are outlined in an affidavit, a lawsuit is filed, served on the Attorney General. Now, as for damages, Green says there's no set figure. Compensation depends on the injury, the impact, and the individual case.
It really depends on the precedents that we have set. So, for instance, case law would guide us in terms of how much one is able to get in damages, meaning the money that the parent is able to collect. But we have certainly seen many cases, unfortunately, where children have been injured and limbs have been lost, for example, and the assessment is done based on the damage to the body and what can be recouped. There are some cases where, unfortunately, children have passed away due to these incidents, and of course, the damages will be determined on a case-by-case basis.
And that wraps up this week's edition of Query This. If you have a legal concern, email me at cmcneil@cvmtv.com and I'll help you find the people and the tools to fight your legal battles. Until next time, I'm Chantae McNeil.
So Ronaldo Adams joins us now with the tools for What's to Come in Sports.
Good evening, Nika, and good evening, viewers. So, we're all aware that tomorrow will be the super final of the Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League. Last night, we featured last year's champions, the defending reigning champions, Cavalier. Tonight, we shed the spotlight on 2023 champions, Mount Pleasant. We'll also have news in cricket, as both West Indies male and female teams will be in action tomorrow. Join us for an extended sportscast in a few.
All right, so stay with us because there's much more to come after the break.
Down to this.
All the hard work, sweat, fight and determination. 8 months of thrills and despair. Now it's time to crown a champion. Cavalier and Mount Pleasant duel for the top prize in local club football for the 3rd season running. It's the Jamaica Premier League Super Final, live on CVM TV. Labor Day, Friday, May 23. Kickoff at 7 p.m. Mount Pleasant came out on top in 2023, and Cavalier turned the tide last season. Who will walk away with the coveted prize in 2025? Find out when the final comes to you live this Labor Day, Friday, May 23, from the National Stadium, starting at 7 p.m. See it all happen right here on CVM TV. The JPL Super Finals, brought to you by Sunshine Snacks, ABC Electrical, and Texaco.
The crispy barbecue zinger from KFC. Available for a limited time. KFC, it's finger licking good.
The time by KFC is...
Welcome back. It's now over to the Business Report with Joel Crosskill.
Lots for you to consider in the business report today about the rate of change being released within the energy space, in part prompted by Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport Darrell Vaz's sectoral debate presentation, where he spoke briefly about changes on the horizon for that sector locally, with potential implications for the region. However, central frame for today's effort was yesterday's investor briefing for the launch of Tropical Battery Company Limited's APO. CEO of the 75-year-old business, Alexander Melville, primed the stage.
When we started this journey as a family business and transitioned from a family business, a 3rd-generation family business, to a publicly traded company, obviously it took, some planning, conviction, a lot of thought went into it. That thought has kind of culminated into where we are today. And it is that we have grown the business from when we started about 1.8 billion when we listed in 2020, and today 5.6 billion in revenue. We're really proud to see this growth and then kind of close the loop on it, because you cannot buy a business 100% leverage debt. So what we did was bought a company that was larger than us with 100% bridge financing, and this was a part of the plan when we bought a business a year ago, to then raise equity through an APO that would then pay down majority or at least 50% of the debt, and then so we'd put equity into the transaction. Smart thing to do in business, always put equity into something you're buying. It cannot be 100% debt, very hard to do.
That purchase, as has been reported on the BR before, was of California-based Rose Batteries, which, in addition to providing Tropical Battery with access to 35 markets internationally, contributed significantly to Tropical doing approximately 50% of its revenue in US dollars. Chris Vondelik, CEO of Rose Batteries, spoke of the plans for additional expansion of manufacturing capacities.
We're actually moving to a new facility that's a lot more streamlined, gives us 30% more square footage. We've been busting at the seams for a few years in our current location. So that'll help us to be able to expand and to more efficiently get products from California down to our facility in Mexico so that we can continue to scale those products there.
Tropical currently controls 60% of the local energy storage market, with intentions to further expand its physical footprint locally.
We are also expanding into a 7th retail store, which is, we have 6 retail stores in Jamaica, and we'll open a 7th one within 30 days. I think it's like next month. And that one's going to be focused more on our newer products, servicing of electric vehicles. We sell electric bikes. We also have a deal where we can sell Teslas out to the UK. And I think that is also very important and a part of our strategy.
A closer inspection of the strategy reveals that the purchase of a 50% stake in Kaya Energy Group, a Dominican Republic-based solar solutions company, was like the renewable equivalent of jet fuel for the energy initiatives of the company.
So their team and expertise just won Tropical Battery, a $500 million solar project here in Jamaica. With 22 government buildings. It's an MSET project. But Tropical, we've only been in the solar business a couple of years. But when we were 7, I think, solar companies in Jamaica bid on it, including ourselves. But we were able to leverage their 15-year experience even further than our Tropical Battery Group and these three companies, Kaya, Rose, and Tropical, is we have, my brother Mark has set up meetings with Carnival Corporation. Carnival Corporation, we've known for 40 years. They buy a lot of batteries for their ship, specialty mission critical type batteries for like lifeboats and things like that that they need, which is similar to what Rose makes. Tropical couldn't do anything there. But Rose makes custom battery packs that could go in Carnival ships. And we are now in communication going back and forth on how we can enter their supply chain. Similarly, Carnival is putting in solar in 6 of its ports in the Caribbean, starting with Celebration Key in Bahamas, a $600 million US expansion. And we are able now to bid on that solar project in Bahamas.
Which brings us back to this statement by Energy Minister Darrell Vaz during his sectoral presentation that highlighted just how the landscape is evolving.
Mr. Speaker, we have also pursued policy measures to improve energy storage capacity. CARICOM's Council for the Trade and Economic Development, quoted, approved Jamaica's request to suspend the common external tax on 91,600 lithium-ion batteries, valued at 1.5 billion Jamaican dollars or $9.7 million US for 2 years, starting February 2025. This 20% duty exemption followed extensive stakeholder consultations with the government of Barbados and a verification site visit to the Barbadian company that currently produces lithium-ion batteries.
However, the move is not necessarily seen as a direct challenge, according to the Tropical Battery CEO.
The industry itself is growing at 20% a year, solar and storage. So when you're in an industry that is growing very quickly, it's a good thing. So all of our businesses, energy storage, solar, renewables, are all growing way past global GDP. It's 20-30% growth rate.
Gregory Samuels, Senior Vice President and Head of Investment Banking at Cygnus Capital, shares a similar outlook.
So this is the company we are investing in, a company that is part of a sustainable development strategy that is here to stay. And so as an investor, I feel proud. And when I say as an investor, if you look at the top 10 shareholder, Cygnus is number 3. So I'm also an investor in Tropical Battery. And I'm very proud because this is a company that is helping to sustain not only Jamaica and the Caribbean, but the world at large.
The offer is for approximately 954 million shares at $1.87. The offer opens tomorrow, May 22nd, and runs for approximately 2 weeks up until June the 6th. Again, the offer can either close early or be extended based on demand. And there is the chance to upsize to a further 1.1 billion worth of shares, valued at the same $1.87.
Interest cost, and I think it's going to be a total of about $300 million lower in interest cost, which should fall to the bottom line and allow us to be more profitable and increase dividends in the future. Yeah.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crossgill.
Let's have a look at what's happening on social media.
What's happening in our local social media spaces today? Jamaica's poverty rate has hit a record low of 8.2% in 2023, according to the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ. This is the lowest rate since records began in 1989, says PIOJ Director General Dr. Wayne Henry. Here are some of your reactions. At Mr._Brown509 writes, poverty is at an all-time high. Where them get these statistics from? At Campbell.50 says, despite clear signs of national progress, some continue to dwell in negativity, unwilling to acknowledge the strides we've made. The reality is that poverty is now at its lowest level in 35 years. At VJ_EP82 comments, we do not even know what the population of Jamaica is. So how did they